Texas Chainsaw has captured the hearts of many, and despite how enjoyable the game has been for lots of players, there are a few problems that have been holding the game back since launch. TCM truly offers a unique experience to so many players who have been looking for something new in the asym multiplayer horror genre, but it also presents its fair share of frustrations that turn many players away. Today, I wanted to bring up some of the issues I think Texas Chainsaw needs to address in order to be successful for years to come. I really want this video to be geared towards constructive feedback instead of just purely criticizing the game. I know how hard the developers have worked to create such a fantastic game, and I think with communication between the devs and the community, TCM can get the changes it desperately needs. I may bring up a lot of negative aspects of the game in today's video, but I truly don't want this to come off as criticism to the developer team, as I really do enjoy the experience they've created. Personally, I couldn't be happier with how the devs have brought the world of Texas Chainsaw to life. Additionally, I want to hear down in the comments what frustrations or issues you currently see with TCM, as I only have my own experience to draw from. I wanted to mention that I make lots of TCM content here on the channel, so if you enjoy what you see today, consider dropping a like or subscribing. Nonetheless, let's get the ball rolling. The first issue I wanted to address today is an in-game mechanic that I find to be quite infuriating in many circumstances. I'm referring to when Leatherface's chainsaw continues to overheat while Grandpa first wakes up in a match. I can't count how many times this has lost me in easy execution or even stalled my progress early in the game when helping out the family. For a long time, I felt that this was a bug, especially while playing on TCM's technical test server, but it seems that this is nothing that's really been addressed. My suggestion is that the developers communicate how they might go about fixing this issue, or even just bring Leatherface's chainsaw back to its original starting heat during the cutscene. Overheating at the start of a game simply because you are using your power seems pretty senseless, at least from a player perspective. I don't know how difficult a change like this would be in terms of game development, but nonetheless, I hope it's one that is addressed soon. Another massive issue I wanted to bring up today is lobby queue times within the game. As of current, this issue is ruining a lot of player experience and can lead to massive amounts of frustration for many. The timer that counts down at the start of a match is far too long. 3 minutes is just simply too much time to collect players and wait for everyone to ready up. In a lot of lobbies, you'll be waiting on just 1 or 2 individuals, which is normally okay, but 3 minutes is a long time to wait. I don't think that the lobby timer should be extremely short due to the fact that you won't always get to play as the character you desire, meaning sometimes you might have to scramble to set up a build, but because you can't work through skill trees and there are preset loadouts available, this is a little bit less of an issue. My suggestion is that they bring down the lobby timer to 1 minute and 30 seconds. That way, even if not everyone is ready, it doesn't take quite as long to kick off a match. Additionally, TCM needs to desperately work on lobby filling when a player has left. The devs already mentioned that this is something that they're working on, so I'm hoping to see some great changes in the near future. Though the devs already took steps to reduce the lobby timer and improved matchmaking, this still presents itself as a major issue within TCM. Another frustration I have with the lobby system is the fact that if you leave a lobby with your party, the party will be disbanded and you'll have to join each other again. This honestly just seems pretty unnecessary from a player standpoint. I understand the reasoning behind the system, and it exists in order to prevent players from having to make something like a gun account and become friends in order to play together, but it really isn't a streamlined experience, especially if you have to leave lobbies multiple times for whatever reason. I also debated bringing up this next suggestion, but I would love to hear your thoughts on this down below. I feel like a separate queue to play Leatherface under the family tab could actually be helpful due to the fact that every match requires him, and this would also help other family members get to queue for a more specific type of family experience they're looking for. The success of this would largely depend on if enough players queue for the Leatherface role, but this is possibly something that they could try in a TTS. This next one is a bit of a kicker and a topic I want to approach carefully due to the varying perspectives I've heard from the community. This is the topic of monetization and the pricing model that Texas Chainsaw is using for their DLC content. I've heard many players express their unhappiness in terms of how much new characters and cosmetics cost, and I honestly have to say that I agree. The fact that there is no way to earn in-game currency to buy DLC characters seems like a bit of an oversight. And the fact that TCM, at least for now, isn't dipping into the IP world means that there's really no excuse for them not to have a system to earn new characters. Even if it was more of a grind to incentivize players to buy the new characters, I think people would enjoy having this as an option. At the end of the day, they are a business and their job is to make money, which is totally understandable, but it just seems like this may be overlooking players who aren't wanting to sink more money into a game they already had to pay $40 for. In terms of cosmetics, I do think the prices are a bit on the high end, but I have less of a problem with that due to the fact that they don't impact any gameplay or player experience. Again, I know the developers have their reasons for this due to the amount of detail and work that they put into their DLC. My main point with all of this is that there should be a way to earn new characters without spending money in order to ensure player satisfaction and retention. Another change I'd like to see the lovely people at Gun take into consideration is more accessibility settings. As someone who doesn't typically use a lot of these settings, I don't want to speak on behalf of the community in terms of needs, but it seems that there's just a bit of work that could be done in this department to be more inclusive for more players. Now, I know a lot of accessibility settings can be difficult to program, and sometimes it can be harder for smaller studios to get things of this nature implemented into the game. That being said, I think it'd be really nice to see some small steps towards more inclusion, such as a colorblind mode or even an option to turn off motion blur. I know the people at Gun work very hard to make this game as great as it can be, and hopefully with time this is something they'll take into higher consideration. One feature I'm somewhat astounded by is the fact that you keep all your XP no matter when you disconnect from a match without any penalty. Now, I do understand that there are times when it's almost necessary to DC, but more often than not, some players take this as an opportunity to leave things when they aren't going their way, and this can severely hurt both roles. I think players should absolutely have the freedom to leave a match whenever they wish, and I honestly don't even think there should be a penalty. But the fact that you can still gain something for leaving your team behind seems a bit bizarre to me. I know that it can be nice if there are connection issues or if there's a game-breaking bug present, but I can't tell you how many times another player has left just because a situation wasn't the most optimal for them. My suggestion is that players should be able to DC without any penalty, but they shouldn't gain the XP that they've earned during that match. Those are all of my thoughts and suggestions on changes I'd like to see in Texas Chainsaw in order to make this a healthier game. But I'd really like to hear what you think down below. What changes do you want to see in this game, or do you have a creative solution to a problem we mentioned today? Nonetheless, thank you all so much for your time. I can't wait to see you in the next video.